So first we'll just do a little bit of an introduction. So myself, I haven't spoken to you before. My name's Tyler. I work and sort of head up the Anaesthetics division here for BDI Resourcing. Thank you for your time today for doing this interview. I know a lot of doctors will be really appreciative of it. There's probably we've got quite a few questions for yourself, so I hope you don't mind giving a bit of an insight to all the doctors out there.
Hopefully it helps.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. How are you doing anyway? Are you having a good day?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm off today.
Oh, okay.
I'm working long shifts on the weekend, so yeah.
Okay, nice. How are you getting on with it all? Is it all okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. United won yesterday, so I'm
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, I can see your scarves in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of glory for once. I know they haven't been doing well, have they? Yeah. So probably very happy. But yeah,
exactly.
Doctor, we'll get started. So
all right.
First off, just an introduction to sort of your story, your relocation, and sort of how you started and how you got on. So firstly, sort of your for your job, what sort of speciality are you working in? What grade are you working at as well?
Okay, so I am working as an MTI.
Okay.
It's a clinical fellow post,
Right.
and so I came in from India, and yes, so it's been almost a year now.
Okay. What hospital is that at? Do you mind me asking?
So I'm working at Bedford South Wing Hospital.
Okay.
So it's an NHS trust.
Lovely.
So
and you've been there for the whole year? This is where you
yes,
started?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I've
lovely.
been here for year. Yeah, this is my first job in UK.
Ah, great. Where did you move over from initially when you come over here to the UK?
So I was working in New Delhi, the capital of India, but I did my post graduation in Calcutta.
Ah,
so yes,
okay. Yeah,
I shifted from New Delhi. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's loads of doctors that can relate to this because the amount of doctors that I speak to that are from India, we have them from everywhere, but a lot of them will be able to really relate to your story, at least being from that area. Can you just tell us a little bit more information on sort of your personal mission on becoming a doctor over here? What you're aiming to do in the future and stuff.
So I felt like a lot of doctors. There are a lot of doctors, so everybody is busy curing people, curing diseases. So, and since I'm in anesthetics, I concentrate more on, and I feel that I should concentrate more on helping people when they're in the theater time. They're very vulnerable. They need a lot of help and support. And many times the pain management is pretty bad. So people try to overlook that. So I try to make sure that that is looked after pretty well, and they get on with their normal lives as soon as possible. So there is not much of a, what I'll say, delay in the getting back to the normal life after the surgery.
Okay, yeah, no, that's great.
Doing the small things, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every little count, right? Every little count.
Exactly.
What sort of leading on from that? What sort of point in your career did you decide to you'd like to move over to the UK? What sort of started that?
Okay. From childhood, I've been a United fan.
Okay.
So I always wanted to shift, but there were lack of not opportunities, lack of guidance after I finished my undergraduation. So lack of information, how to go about it. But once I got into anesthetics, I have worked both in the government and the private sector in India. So then I gathered info and quickly realized that to become an anesthetist, probably NHS is one of the best places in the world that you can be. So even I don't know in details about how is it in US, but a life of an anesthetist, the work-life balance, the equipments you get to work with, the protocolized treatment, and your career progression is pretty good in NHS. So I think that is when I made a decision.
Yeah. Yeah, so you made that decision quite early on. Then it was something that you sort of had in
Right.
your mind from sort of the start of your career. Was that correct to
Yeah,
say?
from after I started post graduation, maybe in my second year of post graduation.
Yeah. So
So
you were sort of determined to make it over here,
yeah,
but
I tried to.
yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah. Okay, no, great. Um, thank you for the insight. I'm sure a lot of doctors are probably in the same sort of position that you were
yeah,
back then. They're there now, so it's going to be real good for them. To get some information from yourself, how it all works out and stuff. So it's not so because I imagine back then it was all out it was sort of in the future for you. You didn't know how the process was.
exactly.
Now
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
been through it, it's something that you understand, and hopefully you can ease their concerns and make it a little bit less intimidating for the other doctors coming over. um,
absolutely. I can.
so the moving on to the actual relocation process itself. How long did it take you to go through that? How long did that take you in total?
So after I had an interview, it was in March 2018, and it was a bit delayed because I was giving the European Diploma exam Part 2 also in July.
Hmm.
So I halted a bit, but it took me around, if you subtract that, so it took me around 6 to 8 months.
Mm.
So it was all right, but the ECFMG process was a bit painful
Yeah.
because we had to send it via post,
Okay.
and there was change of principal in my undergraduate hospital.
Mm.
So so getting on, so I was getting in touch with them while I was not I was in Delhi, and getting in touch with them, which is in West Bengal. So
Mm.
it was pretty painful. So I had to go through the same procedures over and over again. So it
Okay.
took me good 3 months to get a
Right.
ECFMG certified. So other than that, it was more or less all right. It was not bad.
Okay. So you'd say without those hiccups in the process, probably would have taken sort of a few months less than
Yeah,
what it
so
actually should have.
should have been ideally like if you are looking at 4 months time, 5 months time. So
Yeah.
I want to advise, if once you have made your mind up to come to UK, got your IELTS or OET cleared up, get
Mm.
your ECFMG out of the way as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Even when you may have not got a job or via interview, because interviews can happen anytime,
Yeah.
but and you get delayed by the ECFMG. So especially where the hospitals are in a peripheral areas of India, it might take a bit of time.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Um, so, is there anything that you would have liked to have known back then that you know now that maybe would have helped you with the relocation process at all?
Uh, a few things that I would have wanted more clarity on is, one would be the salary scales,
Hmm.
because yeah, it depends a bit on trust to trust and experience wise. So experience wise is understandable, but it varies a bit between trusts and over the country. So yeah, maybe that would have helped a bit. I'm not
Okay.
complaining what I'm getting, but
Yeah. Yeah. Of
but
course.
but yeah, and one more thing, that I should have taken driving a bit more seriously before coming here, because yeah, Bedford is a little bit away from the main cities, I would say. So for a daily routine, or sometimes even for traveling, you need a
Mm.
car, which is almost very necessary. Even when the wintry conditions,
Yeah.
a car is all absolute necessary. And even maybe learn a bit of cooking before you come here,
Yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah. Maybe.
watch your cooking shows on Netflix.
Yeah. 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 I mean, there's plenty on Netflix. That's fairly easy, but the cooking side of it, they may have to touch up on some doctors out there may have to touch up on
Yeah, yeah,
their cooking
exactly.
skills. So there's a nice tip for the doctors out there. um, and so you would say about the driving, you would say that's something that you would say is something that's quite important to
Yeah,
get
because
sorted.
I can drive, but yeah, you have to, the Indian license is valid for 1 year, but by that time you have to get an English license,
Okay.
and so you have to appear for a driving theory test, then a practical test.
Yeah.
So and the exam is pretty tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
it's an achievement if you can pass in one once in
yes,
one go.
it is.
I have told you.
Yeah, the driving standards over here are as far as I know, a lot higher than a lot of other countries. So it's like you said, it's something for the doctors to bear in mind when they're over here. That their license is probably the same for other countries as well. Will be valid for a year, so it's something to get sorted, or bear in mind at least when they come over here. So that's probably quite helpful for them. So moving on to sort of the UK and how the UK is. What are your thoughts on the UK? Sort of what are the main benefits for you from coming over here?
I will definitely assert on the work-life balance is much better here than it was back in India. So I get decent number of leaves and holidays. The quality of life is better. So I think the government, the transport services, the services that government provide for every resident is probably better. Also like you can easily access to Europe. You can travel on weekends. Sometimes traveling from Bedford to London is more costlier than traveling to Spain.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yeah. It can be. Yes.
it can be, yeah. So yeah, so these are the things I think mainly want to highlight the quality of life, basically.
Hmm. Yeah. So when you so I mean, there's a fair few benefits there that a lot of doctors can take away from that. How did you settle into Bedford specifically when you moved here? Was the settling in period? Did it go smoothly? Were you happy with everything?
Bedford has been super kind with me.
Mm.
So it's a small little town, but it's very multicultural and it's full of Indians. So
Okay.
so from day one, I did not miss much of the Indian food.
Okay.
There are many good Indian restaurants, and
Mm.
you get almost all the spices and vegetables that we are used to. So yeah, it's been very nice actually, and the department and the hospital has been pretty helpful.
Mm.
I have a very
Okay.
good working group. So yeah.
How would you compare it to the food back home? Is it up to the home standards or?
Some of the restaurants are really good. The samosas we get here are really good. I won't. I would definitely warranty that if you're coming to Bedford, there are a few shops that you want to have a slice of the samosas. Yeah, it's okay. Like what I'll say, it's almost 70-80% of what you get back home. So
Mhm.
back home it's a little bit more spicy, but yeah,
Okay.
it's a little bit
Yeah.
less here. But you get the variety here. You get decent variety here.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I can
it's good.
understand because it's a concern that some of my doctors have actually expressed before is sort of like cultural differences, and it's one thing they ask about is the access to foods, and
No,
are the
I
foods.
won't complain. I won't complain food wise.
Mm.
It's Bedford is pretty good. The only thing that you might miss here is India is what I'll say is full of uh, what I'll say. I'm missing the right word. Like it's always you'll see a lot of people in the streets. Okay, it's
Oh,
much more
okay.
happening. Yeah, so that you
Oh,
might
so,
feel a little when you're walking on the streets in the evening. So it's
mm.
like after 6 or 7, everything shuts down pretty
Oh,
quickly.
okay.
While back in India, it's everything is still open till 9 or 10 in the night. So
Okay. So it may be to do with
so
like the working hours, possibly the difference in working
yeah,
hours,
yeah.
maybe the shop shutting a little bit earlier. Um,
Exactly. So those are the things that you might feel a bit
yeah.
different and
Yeah.
awkward to start off, but I think you settle down to that. You
Yeah,
can
it's something that
actually,
you can adjust to.
yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing it didn't take you much time to adjust to that.
No,
Maybe
no, no.
maybe it
Yeah,
caught you off guard at first, but
yeah, exactly. A few times when I didn't know that the main the departmental stores will shut down at 6,
yeah.
so yeah, I had to find out the Tesco. What is that called? Uh, the smaller Tesco stores,
Oh, the
which are
Tesco Express.
yeah, Tesco
Yeah,
Express.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, so some of them are open sort of some 24 hour. But
yeah, the Textra Extra. Yeah.
yeah. Um, anyway, moving on from Bedford, sorry. Have you explored any other cities in the UK? Any other areas that you may be able to compare to?
I've been to a lot of cities. I've been to Edinburgh. I've been to Scottish Highlands. I've been to London. I've been to Manchester. So So London and Manchester are huge, obviously.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's more like the one of the cosmopolitan cities back in India. Also, it's more or less, and so it's busy, and you have a lot of people, and it's always hustling and bustling. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, Bedford is much smaller. Uh, I've been to a lot of places like Dorset, Lake District.
Mm.
So yeah, it's very pretty. The
Yeah.
coastline is very pretty.
Mm.
I think if anyone loves traveling, they are in for a treat.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, there's lots of different, cities, towns, areas to visit, especially with all the different coastlines and stuff. So yeah, like I'm sure it sounds like you've been to quite a fair few places in the UK, so you've had your
Yeah,
fair share of
I've,
experiences.
yeah, but that is not enough yet.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, no,
oh
keep
yeah,
going. You never stop traveling.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
One thing sort of leads on to that. One thing that quite a few of my doctors ask as well is the weather. How do you find the weather over here?
See, I won't complain because I'll always loved cold weather and than the hot and the humid.
Hmm.
So as long as I'm not sweating, I'm all right. So
Okay.
but yeah, I can definitely do with a little more sunshine,
Hmm.
more sunny days. But yeah, it's okay. I'm getting used to it. It's a bit cold, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
much more.
especially
I won't
this
complain
time of
much with
year.
the weather. Yeah, true. Yeah, especially this time of the year when the sunsets happen at 3:30, 4ish.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't see sun when you're going to work. You don't see sun when you're
mm,
coming back. That
yeah,
can be a little bit depressing sometimes, but
yeah,
you get used to it.
yeah. Well, it'll be over soon. I don't think it won't last for long. And
Well,
you know,
the global warming is happening.
yeah, that's one thing as
That's
well.
bad.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
bad, but it's happening.
Um, But yeah, it was just a question that a lot of doctors ask. They haven't. A lot of them haven't even been over to the UK at all before. So areas will be new for them. The cultural differences will be new for them, and one thing that everybody knows is the weather will be different as well. So it's you know uh,
Culture-wise, I just want to mention that I think overall people are much more polite, warm. So until unless you are creating a problem, everyone is pretty welcoming.
yeah.
So yeah, I think should not have a problem. People help you out in most things, even in streets or in shops. People are pretty helping.
Yeah, it's nice to know that for the doctors, because I think that's one thing everybody would worry about when moving to another country is um, is just the settling in process. So it's probably nice for them to hear that. Um, Moving on now from the England, maybe moving towards the NHS now. When you moved over here and you started work, how did you feel settling in, to work on, the first day or the first week, and so on, compared to how you
Uh,
feel now?
so so the few things that was new to me, like I did not have idea of who are ODPs. Okay, so they are basically practitioners, theater practitioners who help us with giving anesthesia and everything. So that was a new thing to accustom to them. So they know a lot, actually. They know a lot. So even sometimes they know better than us because they have been doing that for years and years after.
Mhm.
So yeah, accommodating them, getting used to them was new.
Okay.
Then here the anesthesia is given in an anesthetic room first, and then the patient is wheeled into a theater room. So those were the few things which are pretty new to me to start off.
Okay.
But yeah, I quickly learned things, and one more thing, understanding the accents. So it's a
Ah.
very multicultural thing.
Mm.
So understanding everyone's accents and their abbreviations. So it took me some time,
Yeah.
but yeah, but now I can call myself a part of the family.